A lot of advisors are really very focused on their social media game. What percentage of your clients come from there? You start looking at everything, you start saying, is that a good use of time? Is that really where my floor is? I want you to think about that.
Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed, smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode.
Hi, Sir Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see I'm not in my office in Florida. Actually, as I'm recording this, I'm in the middle of my summer sabbatical. We are actually in the port of Vecchia, which is about an hour east of Rome on the Mediterranean, just kind of midway through our sabbatical cruise here. So in this episode, what I want to talk about is I just got done, the third time through actually, of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's new book, The Science of Scaling. And I wanted to put it in context for advisors, like how to interpret the book, because there are definitely a lot of premises, a lot of strategies that are applicable inside our game. First off, I think it's very close to being as good as 10X is easier than 2X. I would still give that book a slight edge. I think there's just a mindset thing there. Plus, obviously the co-authoring with Dan Sullivan, I think adds a little something special to that book. However, with that said, The Science of Scaling is a must-read for every financial advisor, and here's why. I think Advisorland, the space I've operated in now for 31 years as a coach, it's very easy to get into because, again, we tend to be in this space very analytical and data-driven. So we tend to be very good at math. And so when we think about scaling our practices, for most of you, you're going to put it into one or two contexts. You're going to put it in a context of assets under management, and or number of financial plans, and or premium dollars, and or, right, depending on the model you're running. But the reality of it is that you're still going to be very linear in your thinking. So for example, if you've got $1 million shop, $100 million of AUM, you may say, boy, if we can bolt on $12 to $18 million this year, or 12 to 18% growth rate, that's really, really good. And you do that for the next, 7 years, 6 years, you put another $1 million on the board and so on. And that's not bad. So I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying that that's just the way we tend to operate in the space. What Dr. Hardy does is he has you question the assumption. And what he uses is, and he tells a lot of great stories in the book, is engineers optimizing for something that shouldn't exist in the first place. So in other words, he causes you to question the paradigm that you currently operate under, right? So to put it into context, when I first read the book, I got an advanced copy because I was in one of his coaching programs. I read it on my spring sabbatical. So I had it a couple months before it came out. And I was working with a new client at the time, a new advisor with me in the business of 15 years. And we're doing some goal setting work, and we're doing like a little vision planning, if you will. And just so out of the blue, I said, hey, here's your 10-year, we're talking about 10 year. We do very much like EOS. We do a 10-year, 3-year, 1 year. And we're looking at his 10-year, right? Okay, got that. He wants to basically go from $1 million of revenue to $3 million of revenue in 10 years. Do the math. It's not that complicated, right? And then he's got his 3-year and then he's got his 1 year. And I said to him, if we went ahead and took the 10-year and brought it into a 3-year frame, and that had to be the goal, how do we accomplish that goal? And I talked a little bit about this last episode about, how you have to, basically take all your assumptions, put them away, and you have to have some fresh perspective. And in that case, Dr. Hardy talks about pathways. Typical pathways for advisors to scale their business is going to be new households, and that's going to come in the context of referrals, maybe in the context of centers of influence, maybe in the context of some outbound marketing, a seminar, stuff like that, or paid lead gen, like Apex or Smart Asset or one of those.
Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode.
Basically, it's organic. If you compress that 10-year down to a 3-year, the odds of it happening just on organic growth are, not saying impossible, it's highly unlikely. So we had to change the context, and now we have to go and do strategic growth, which is acquiring practices, doing, instead of bolting on 1 million here or there, we got to bolt on 40, 50, $60 million in the transaction to get there. And what I really liked about it the most is, and I think a lot of advisors, we operate in an industry of FOMO, fear of missing out, is it causes you to really question everything you do. And does it make sense to continue to do it? Like, does it really add to the mission? So, for example, a lot of advisors are really very focused on their social media game, their LinkedIn posting, Facebook, Instagram, X, whatever they're allowed to do. And if you really think about it, what percentage of your clients come from there? I want you to think about that. I'm not saying these are bad. Producing podcasts, what percentage of your new clients come from podcasting? You start looking at everything, you start saying, is that a good use of time? Is that really where my floor is? Because he talks about frame, focus, floor, right? The frame, how you look at things, right? The focus, what you're going to do, and then the floor, what your new standards are. What is now below the floor, you no longer will continue to do. And when you look at it in that context, there's only so many ways to go practice, right? It's going to be, there's 2 buckets. There's organic and strategic. There's going to be, in the organic bucket, right, there's optimization, there's referrals, right? There's COIs, there's, getting a client here, getting a client there, totally, which is great. But then on the other side, strategic growth, right, which is acquiring practices, leverage that way, right? That's the different game. And what we realized in this example was we needed to go into that game to accomplish our 10-year and 3-year. In other words, a brand new pathway. So the lessons I want you to take away from the book are as follows. Number 1, floor. So in other words, always be raising your standard on who you take, minimums, profitability, like always be moving that forward, right? Don't get caught up in the loyalty game. A lot of you suffer from I've had this client for 20 years, they're not in the model, they're transactional, they've been with me since the beginning. And my question to you is as follows. Is it really about loyalty, or is it really because you're cheap? Case in point, and I talked about this a couple of months ago in our vision conference. And I said, how many of your current legacy clients, those who've been with you 20 years that are not in your model? So in other words, they don't pay the appropriate fee, they're not positioned properly, they're legacy, right? They're kind of in they're in the old world. If you were to go to them and say, hey, new world, new business model, right? New way of doing things. We can no longer be transactional. There has to be an asset management fee for me to house the assets. There has to be an asset management fee or a planning fee for me to continue to be your advisor. What percentage of those clients you think are loyal to you when you tell them they got to now start paying and compensating you for what you do? I'm telling you right now, I've had this happen. I've had clients actually go back to their legacy and have this exact conversation. And I'm telling you, over half of them opt out. So guess what? It wasn't about loyalty. It was about cheap. All right? So for some of you, that's the first message I need you to take is raise your standard, raise your floor. All right? Next, frame. What is it that we truly want? What I'm saying here right now, over the next 5 years with all the retirements in the game, if there's ever a time in our industry to go big, it's now. It is now to think big and act big, okay? So again, what's the frame? What are you looking to accomplish? Look at your 10-year goal. Ask yourself this question. What would happen if I took my 10-year and made it a 3-year? What would I have to do? What would I have to stop doing? What would I have to focus on? What would my standards have to be? How would I need to operate, okay? And then focus. Ask yourself, when you look at what you're doing, the output, does it really help you grow your business? Or is it just this thing you're doing because you see other advisors doing it and you think it's a good idea? So in other words, if it doesn't produce tangible economic results, should we continue to do it? Very important question. And I've had clients give up on their social media and doing other things and focus on referrals, focus on their COIs, focus on all these other things that actually produce a result. Here's a primary question that one of my coaches asked me 8 years ago, which I still think about almost every business day. Do I want to be popular or do I want to be paid? Think about that. Are you interested in being popular and nobody hires you? So you go around your town, and I've had clients that have done this. They put billboards up, they do radio shows, they do local cable TV, they go speak at libraries, all these things, right? But if nobody hires you, who cares who knows you? It's not about that. It's about getting hired, getting paid. So there's just so I highly recommend the book. Got a lot of great examples in there. And I do believe an advisor can take those examples and apply them inside of advisor land, inside of our game here. And my frame would be take a 10-year goal, break it into 3, figure out how to get it done, figure out what you have to stop doing, figure out what you need to do, what you need to focus on, all those things. So those are just some thoughts. Go get the book. I don't care about Amazon making $1 here, $1 there. Just go get the book. Audible, highly recommended. Enjoy it. And I'll see you all again in 7 days.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.